And we are back. Welcome to episode 2 of Joe's Knows the World Cup. Andrew Eisenhart, Keth Kodori. I'm your host, Ben Chadwick. And guys, we have a very special guest coming on the show today. Everyone, please give a round of applause. Mr. Rogan is joining us for the show here today.
What's up, guys? I broke out the Ted Lasso Roy Kent jersey, but I'll have to have a better filter than him for this.
That's perfect. We appreciate it. Yes, very no, money does not exist. Nothing out of the ordinary exists on the Joe's Knows World Cup podcast. Guys, I want to run through a few things here today. Obviously, we have to talk about the U.S.'s game against Netherlands. It was a heartbreaker for just about everyone across the United States of America. We're definitely going to hit that. We're going to hit all the other round of 16 games as well. Give a quick review what each game means for the rest of the tournament. And obviously, we're going to go over the quarterfinal games that will be happening tomorrow and Saturday, giving a quick preview, giving our picks for each one, give a little input for the people. Guys, start off just to get it out of the way. I know we don't want to do this, but we kind of have to. The U.S. exits early versus the Netherlands. So, Andrew, I'll throw it to you. What did you take away from this game?
Right. So when I watched this game, last week, they started off a little bit slow. Christian Pulisic had a golden opportunity for a goal. Just super wide open shot. But the rest of the game, it seemed like they were asleep. Just really hard to watch, especially coming back with the one goal in the second half. But gave me a little bit of hope, and then it was just dashed to pieces. They gave up a goal so quickly after that. It wasn't even funny. But it was hard to watch as a USA fan. But I think, hard to watch. But this is about what was expected.
Scott?
Ben, you saw how excited I was for the game last week. And like I said, what I think happened, my theory, right, is that I was being so cocky that somehow the cockiness entered my phone, took a trip to Qatar, and somehow rubbed on Christian Pulisic before the game. Because there's absolutely no way in the first 2 minutes that you should get an opportunity like that, but just not score. It seemed like these strikers were really inexperienced, and it was showing because you could just see how these players were looking down instead of looking at the goal sometimes, and like I said before in the last episode, I think the strength of our team was the midfield, right? But I feel like as soon as the strikers turned the ball over, it seems like in a matter of seconds, Netherlands was getting like a shot on the goal. So I feel like it was like a team effort in this loss. But if I'm blaming someone, I'm blaming those strikers. Another thing is that this team is, like I said, young and inexperienced, youngest team in the World Cup, youngest starting 11. So yeah, I think 2026 we'll see a big step up. But I still kind of feel like it's a upsetting loss.
Yeah, so Kath, you brought up how young the team is. You also brought up how they were kind of just looking down at the ball. Mr. Rogan, I want to throw this over to you. Do you think that those two kind of combined and just like maybe it was nerves? It's their first round of 16 games. The team is so young, so inexperienced. They just wanted to focus on the ball. They kind of got out of their game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Saketh mentioned, we had the youngest starting 11 in the World Cup, right? The second youngest overall roster. You look at the core of this team, you've got, Musa is 20 years old, Aronson, Weah, Sargent, they're 22, Adams is 23, Pulisic, McKennie, they're 24, right? And those are like your core players, right? And so you're looking 4 years from now when we're playing on home turf and everything, these guys are going to be in their prime. Mid and upper 20s, a little bit more experience under their belt, a little more Premier League experience. They have this international run. I think saying that the U.S. exited early in this tournament, I feel like is a little harsh. I think they exited basically when they were meant to. The problem is that we Americans, we're very spoiled when it comes to athletics. We're very spoiled when it comes to international competition. We go to the Olympics, we dominate in all these different events and get medals, right? The Winter Olympics, the Summer Olympics, doesn't matter. We're up there doing things, right? We go to the Women's World Cup for soccer. Our women's team has been dominant for, multiple World Cups now. I think of the 5 or 10 female World Cups there's been, we've won 4 of them. Right. So, we have a very dominant athletic streak in us and a very arrogant athletic streak in us that we expect to win everything. But the fact of the matter is men's soccer has not been a priority in the U.S. for generations. We didn't even make the last World Cup, and now we're getting out in the round of 16 4 years later, and we're upset about it with a bunch of guys. There's literally one guy on the roster who had played in the World Cup prior to this, and he was a sub on the bench, right? Yedlin was the only one who had previous experience. So there is stuff to be upset about. We need a striker that can finish. I think every 15 to 17-year-old in America right now, every high school soccer player needs to just sit in front of the net and just keep pounding those shots out and practicing finishing, because that's the piece we're missing. If we can get a prolific goal scorer, I don't even need a Messi or Ronaldo. Give me the next step from there. Give me just somebody that can reliably put the ball in the net and capitalize on those chances.
Yeah, and Mr. Rogan, you brought up that soccer is not really a priority for us, and this is kind of like a debate I've been hearing for a while. Do you think if we put our best athletes, like guys like LeBron James, Tyreek Hill, all of them into soccer, do you think, we'd be just as dominant as we are in every other sport?
I don't know, because athletically, yeah, like it would be great to see these genetic super freaks that are dominating in the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, like every other area on a soccer pitch if they'd been playing since they were young. But I also don't know that we have the infrastructure to support it, right? We don't have beyond it's not just the athletes, right? We don't have the investment in youth coaching and youth development. We don't have the investment in tournament play in schools and development there. So I'm not going to sit here and say that our soccer players aren't athletes. I think our soccer players are stud athletes. A lot of them are playing over in the Premier League, playing alongside people. But I think it's soccer, football, as everyone else calls it, like is such a cultural staple in other places, right? Little kids are having a soccer ball at their feet from the time they can stand and dreaming of going to the World Cup. How many 9-year-old kids in the U.S. do you know whose greatest dream in life is to make it to the World Cup? Not many. How many 9-year-olds do you know who want to play in the NFL or the NBA? Tons of them, right? So I think that's the difference, more so than just, we take our best athletes and put them there. I think it's that cultural bring up, and hopefully, between the fact that this performance was good, I think in 2026, we should expect ourselves to go, deeper. I think quarterfinals are a must for 2026 with this group of guys with 4 more years of experience under them and the home crowd behind them. You got games being played in MetLife Stadium with Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey fans behind you. Like that's going to get aggressive crowd noise. That really pumps the guys up. I think some of the games are being played down in Texas, I believe. Texas crowds, they know how to make some noise and energize the guys. So I think quarterfinals are a must, and hopefully we see, over the course of these 4 years, kind of a resurgence of soccer in the American populace. But that striker piece is so necessary for us.
Yeah, Mr. Rogan, you made a few great points. The very last point I'll bring up first. We talked about that striker piece. Look, we don't have a Lewandowski. We don't have a Ronaldo to put in at striker. But there is a guy by the name of Gio Reyna, and some people make the argument he's second, third, fourth most talented player on this team, and yet he only saw minutes as a substitute versus the Netherlands. And I don't know if this is me just with my bias for Gio Reyna, but it seemed like that second half team with him on the field was a completely different team than the first half team. So I mean, who knows if he played in the England game? Do we win that game? If you played in the other games, do we win those games by more? Do we maybe beat some of the teams that we tied? I just want to bring that up. If anyone wants to chime in, like, are we sure Gio Reyna, it's all his fault, or can we blame a little bit the coach for not playing him?
Oh, fire Berhalter. I've been team fire Berhalter since the first game. All right, his substitutions were atrocious. They were his man management was terrible. I understand certain things you had to do, right? You have to. Weston McKennie was coming off an injury. You don't want to play him the whole game. You have to sub him out. But Shaq Moore, it looked terrible when he came in against Iran. Like awful. And then Haji Wright got the start in the England game.
Yeah.
Did absolutely nothing for us the entire time he was in. Then gets subbed in against Iran, proceeds to make awful plays. If I have to see Haji Wright again, I'm gonna scream. I do not want to see him up there. Reyna, I think, is a good option. He's more of a midfield player though, which seems to be our strength, right? We have this depth of midfield players with Musa, with McKennie, with Pulisic, with Reyna, like that we with Aronson too as a midfielder. But I don't know if he fixes that goal scoring threat. And I think he was also injured. He missed pretty much the entire last season from injury. So he said he was healthy and good to go. I don't know if he actually was, so I can understand that. But I still think Berhalter's substitutions were atrocious.
Yeah, no, you brought up a great point with Haji Wright and Shaq Moore. I mean, those guys were so clearly the worst players on the field for both teams whenever they came in. So the fact that he subbed them in almost every game. I mean, they played awful the first game they played, and he just kept subbing them in. It made no sense to me. A couple more points that I wanted to break down that you brought up, Mr. Rogan. You brought up if kids only played soccer in the U.S., it would be a whole different story. I couldn't agree more. I feel like it would be a sort of Summer Olympics basketball type of thing. Everyone's just like, oh, we can watch, see who gets the silver medal. But like, it's going to be the U.S. I mean, if all our athletes, like, let's say Argentina. I mean, I like, if you're a kid who wants to play a sport as a career growing up, it's 90% of the time going to be soccer. If that was the same story in the U.S., I think we dominate the World Cup. I don't even think this is that big of an event because it's just always going to be the USA winning it. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's pretty clear that the U.S. would dominate this sport.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, if you just look at some of the athletes in these other sports, like some of them have really translatable skills. A lot of them super athletes, super skilled. I feel like, guys like I don't know, LeBron James might not exactly translate to soccer. There's other guys like, maybe Tyreek Hill, his speed.
I think the
Other guys
flopping
like,
and calling for fouls will translate. I think
Definitely
that'll.
would.
yeah, that would too. So yeah.
No, I think that would definitely translate. Yeah.
I think we know, right, what happens if the U.S. fully commits to soccer because we've seen it. The women's team, right?
Yeah.
Like when it comes to women's sports, what is the premier sport for female athletes in the U.S.? It's soccer, and it has been, right? That's what gets pushed for the girls to play. My sister's a soccer player. She's played all through from kindergarten through high school and college. And we see the women's team utterly dominate the fields. So if the US put the same effort and level and commitment into developing those fields for the men as they have for the women and built up that program, we've already seen what'll happen. And hopefully, like the women's team had their moment with the Women's World Cup in the Rose Bowl and that, iconic ripping the shirt off after scoring the winning PK. Maybe we'll see a moment like that with the home Men's World Cup, and then we'll see a resurgence of men's soccer in the U.S. following that, the same way we have with the women's game.
I think that's a great point. I think that having the World Cup in 2026 in the U.S. is going to do wonders for the sport in America. Also, speaking of the World Cup in 2026, I think Mr. Rogan, you and Saketh both brought up this is the youngest starting 11 in the entire World Cup, and it made the round of 16. So, I mean, we're hosting the World Cup in 4 years. Everyone's going to be in their prime. So, guys, any expectations for what we could see in 2026? Andrew, I'll go to you first. Are we talking round of 16 again, or maybe a little bit better?
Honestly, I mean, I just don't think as a team, I mean, like we saw, we're just not there yet. So, I mean, coming 2026, I'll be completely honest, I have no idea what to expect. We got a little taste of, I mean, what could be something amazing for 2026, especially in the U.S. But I think we could probably make it to the final 4 teams. I mean, realistically, like teams like Brazil and Portugal and like Argentina, I mean, those are always going to be powerhouse teams, so you always have to watch out for those. But everything else, I mean, I just really don't know what to expect. So, I mean, if we are on the track that we're on as the U.S. team, goes through time, I think that, they can be onto something pretty amazing.
Kev?
Okay. Well, round of 16, no. Round of 8, no. Quarterfinals, no.
Nope.
Semifinals, no. We're going for the championship. It's happening. 2026. Mark my words.
All right, so Mr. Rogan, bring some sense into this conversation, if you would.
I think Saket is ambitious, but it's a distinct possibility. I think you get these
With
guys
Uncle
players.
Sam watching over us, there's no way it doesn't happen.
Absolutely. You get these guys, 4 more years of experience. You get a striker in that can score. You get a coach that knows what a substitute is and how to make them. Instead of just focusing on his shoes and his bounce passes, giving the players the ball for throw-ins. I think we could make a run. For me, going into 2026, quarterfinals are a must. Quarterfinals are a must. You made it to the round of 16 now. You're getting 4 more years on you. All these guys, right? Even Matt Turner and net looked really solid for us, and I think he's definitely got it in him. I think the only question marks for 4 years from now are: A, do we get a striker that can score a goal? B, do we get center backs? Carter Cameron Vickers is young. He's in that 22 to 24 age range, so he'll still be around. But Tim Ream was the oldest player on the team, right? He's 38, 37, somewhere around there. I maybe a little younger than that, maybe 35, or he'll be 38, 37 when we play in 2026. Walker Zimmerman is about 30 years old. So again, he'll be early 30s. So those two are both question marks, right? You assume this is the only time we're going to see Ream. We're not going to see him again in 2026. Zimmerman is a could not, who knows.
Yeah.
So need to shore up that back line, get a striker that can score. I think we definitely make quarterfinals, and I think from there it comes down to matchup. Like you said, there are those teams that you always have to worry about. But I think you give us Netherlands again 4 years from now, I think we take them. I think you give us this Morocco matchup, I think we take them. Croatia, I think we could have beaten them.
Emphasis
Now,
on Morocco.
yeah,
What was that,
I
Kev?
Say emphasis on Morocco.
yeah, I think
Mickey Mouse, Mickey Wick win. That's what it was.
I think looking at this quarterfinal round, like I think there are definitely games in here that we could win if we're in that spot 4 years from now. So we could definitely make a run if there's a piece. But I think quarterfinals are the bare minimum for the team going into 2026.
Yeah, Mr. Rogan, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think 2026 quarterfinals are definitely the expectation. I don't think I'll accept anything less. And semifinals and obviously the championship are kind of high hopes from there. But I mean, yeah, this team is only going to grow and get better. There's going to be new players. Players are going to get older and into their prime, like we already mentioned. So I mean, this team has to improve. That's not even an argument. It's just how much do they improve? And for me, I think they improve to quarterfinal, semifinal, and then final. Obviously, is a very high hope. Yeah, I mean, once again, massive heartbreak that the U.S. is out, but I think 4 years from now we might have to rekindle the show and get it started again for 2026, because that's going to be a whole new U.S. team, and I cannot wait. So don't leave on low ground here with the U.S. Please be back and cheering in 2026. But yeah, right now not looking too great for the U.S. in this World Cup, as obviously they're knocked out. There's other teams that aren't knocked out though, so we'll get to a round of 16 review real quick before we move on to the quarterfinals. So Andrew, I'll throw it to you first. The first game we'll go over: Argentina won 2-1 versus Australia. So what do you take away from this game?
Right. So like I said before, Australia just did well in their division in the first part of the World Cup. They just got lucky. We all kind of knew that Argentina was just going to blow everyone out. I mean, I said that they're going to the finals anyway. So, I mean, this is just like a really easy win, kind of just right off Australia. I feel like we all knew it was going to happen.
Jeff?
I mean, like, did we even expect Australia to have a chance? I thought it was pretty one-sided from the beginning. I thought Argentina was going to win by a bigger margin, if we're being honest. And I think Argentina had relatively one of the easier paths until they see Brazil in the quarterfinals or semifinal, whatever it is. Yeah, semifinals. Yeah. So yeah, I really wasn't expecting much of a different score. If anything, more favored for Argentina to win. And I think, Messi is just solidifying himself in the GOAT debate now.
Mr. Rogan?
Yeah, I mean, like Saketh ended with there, this is the World Cup of will Messi match Maradona? Like, can he help Argentina lift that? And I love the fact that to get there, he'd have to get through Brazil. I think Argentina versus Australia, it's an expected result. I think Australia, kind of like the U.S., can be proud of what they did.
Don't compare them to us, but
in the sense that they made it to about where they were estimated to make it. And good on them. I have some good Australian friends, so happy for them. But it's messy. Like, it's messy. That's all that needs to be said. It's messy.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Saketh on the boat here. I was expecting at least a 2-goal win from Argentina. Like Mr. Rogan said, Australia, like, good on you for making the round of 16. I was expecting them to get blown out by Messi and this Argentina team. Someone I do want to bring up is Rodrigo de Paul for Argentina. He's a midfielder. I think he played one of the best games we've seen in the entire World Cup so far. But it's some pretty brutal news. He's going to be out for at least the quarterfinal game, possibly the rest of the tournament. So that could be a big blow to this Argentina team. But once again, he played great versus Australia, and I think that's what elevated them to the win. And we can definitely talk about his injury more when we get to Argentina's quarterfinal matchup. Next game we got to review. France won 3-1 versus Poland. Andrew.
I mean, against France versus Poland, France versus Poland. I mean, a 3-1 victory. We were all kind of expecting it. I mean, France with Mbappe, the guy is incredible. I mean, last stream we said that Mbappe was one of the most talented players in the world right now. I completely agree with that. Poland, besides having a really great goalie, I don't really think had much else going for them. So we all kind of expected it, just like the Argentina-Australia win. Yeah, I just kind of could write this one off.
Scott?
Okay, first of all, can we all come to the consensus that Mbappe is easily the best player in the World Cup right now?
Absolutely.
I mean, there shouldn't even be a question. I understand he's not the most likable player, but just looking at a skill set point of view, he just does a great job of making players around him much better with the passes he sets them up with, and even scoring himself. So I don't know. I think France is easily gonna roll through England this upcoming game, but more importantly, I think this outcome was to be expected, to be honest.
Yeah, a bit of a preview there from Saketh. I think we might be able to predict your pick in a few minutes. Mr. Rogan, I'll throw this game back to you.
Yeah. I'm sorry to our resident Polak soccer phenoms, Jakob and Max, but they didn't stand a chance. France, hot take, France is good at soccer. Like, who knew? Kylian Mbappe, easily the best player in the world right now, based purely on World Cup performance. The guy's got 5 goals. He's on pace for Golden Boot. Like, he's a stud. And this was with a Polish team that, every team knows when you're a player like Mbappe, when you're a player like Neymar, when you're a player like Messi, Ronaldo, right? Teams know you're coming in, and they're targeting, they're doing everything they can to shut you down. And Mbappe went out there and scored 2 goals and had an assist. Like, what?
Yeah.
He's disgusting. And then you pair that with the fact that they have Giroud, who is also playing, the tournament of his career right now. He's sitting on 3 goals as well. Yeah, France, they're great. I am so excited for this France-England game.
Yeah, I mean, not Mr. Rogan, we all kind of brought up Mbappe, like Saketh said, probably the best player in the world right now, definitely so far in the World Cup. Giroud with 3 goals, very unexpected. Guys, we talked about it a little bit last episode. This Polish goalie, once again, I'm going to really try and attempt his name. Szczesny. We're gonna go with Szczesny. He looked incredible in the group stages. Like he was by far the best goalie in the first 3 games of the World Cup. And then I know it's France, but letting up 3 goals. I know the defense didn't play so great, but it was a bit of a weird game for him to have after playing so incredible in the group stages. But like I said, I mean it's Mbappe, it's Giroud. You still have Griezmann in there. Hugo Lloris in goal. He's one of the best goalies in the world. Varane at that center back. I mean, those are incredible players, not to mention all the guys they have in reserves and the rest of their lineup. So, yeah, this French team, we're going to get to them a little bit later for their game against England. That'll be a very fun one. But yeah, this French team I could see going very far. And like Mr. Rogan said, they are a very fun team to watch over the next coming couple of weeks. Next game we'll hit is the team that they will be playing tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. It'll be England winning 3-0 versus Senegal. So Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, just like the ones that we talked about before, just absolutely blowout. I mean, like Senegal is like kind of like a who team. I mean, no one expected them to make it. I think they only made it because of their bracket. Their bracket was not very good at all. And coming out on top, it just really wasn't surprising at all, especially against a team like England. I mean, there's not really much else to say here.
Sketh.
Yeah, England dominated this game. I mean, go look at the stats, all factors, goals, shots. I mean, even possession time, England controlled over 60% of the possession. It was insane. Senegal didn't even have a shot coming into this, in my opinion. So yeah, England beat France. Yay. Have fun with that win. I mean, if I'm England, I'd be shaking right now. But yeah, we'll get to that later.
Oh, so you're talking about the England-Senegal game then?
Yeah, I'm saying like England-Senegal, like
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect anything less from England, but I'm saying, next round, I would be shaking in my boots if I'm from England.
Yeah, once again, it'll be a very fun game. Mr. Rogan?
Yeah, I mean, again, England, they're good at soccer. They're a good team, and I think that's part of why going back to the U.S. Part of why the U.S. can be proud. They held England to to a 0-0 tie. Like this is a good team. They have the most goals of anyone in the tournament, and the U.S. managed to tie them. So like solid stuff there. England over Senegal, again, expected result. I don't think the English fans would have let them back into the country if they blew this one. And yeah, I'll save my England thoughts for when we get into the England versus France game. But expected result. Let's go on.
Yeah, I mean, a player I want to bring up, obviously, Harry Kane is playing great. Also, Pickford in goal is playing incredible so far in this World Cup. But Jude Bellingham had a day against Senegal. I know we're saying Senegal, not the greatest team in the World Cup, but he was just all over the field. Didn't have a goal or an assist, but just watching that game, he was unreal for England. And like I said, even though he didn't have a goal, it kind of seemed like he was the best player on the field for them. Just had such a big impact on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. So I think he really was able to elevate them to that 3-0 win against Senegal. We'll move on to the next game, our first of 2 games to end in penalty kicks. Croatia beats Japan 3-1 in PKs. Andrew.
Right. So, I mean, both teams put up a really, really great game. Croatia coming out on top, it was sort of expected against Japan. When we saw in the later part of the match, I mean, I was kind of thinking to myself, well, if Croatia doesn't win this one, I don't really know what they'll do. But coming out in PKs, I mean, 3-1 in PKs is definitely sort of a big difference there. Croatia against Brazil, though, I can't wait to talk about that.
Kev.
I mean, like Japan, like obviously everyone loves an underdog story. Japanese fans have also been like really hospitable. A lot of them staying after games, cleaning up, kind of became like a big story. So I think everyone wanted Japan to win, especially like another thing I didn't mention was their uniforms. Oh my God, they're amazing. But
uniforms.
But yeah, I think everyone's heart broke watching this Japanese game. But if we're being honest, they're kind of in a similar boat with Australia, with the U.S. In the fact that it was a win even getting to this point of the tournament. But going out like this, I mean, they lost to Croatia, so I mean, like I expected Croatia to win, but I had like a glimmer of hope watching the game. Mr. Rogan, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, Japan definitely had the underdog, the kind of the we were rooting for you, we were all rooting for you kind of vibe to them. Um, the jersey is designed by an anime designer from Japan, like amazing, wonderful, love that. The PKs were just sad though. They were just sad. Like they weren't even wasn't even like it was a good PK and the keeper made some insane save. Like I think there was one good save, but the other ones were just kind of like low ball. Like every ball was on the ground. Most of them weren't even going towards the corner. They were going more center than net. The goalie was able to get his full body behind it, save it with like his stomach. Like, come on, man. Like I don't know if the pressure. I guess the pressure got to them, but this was not a good World Cup for PKs. They were even the ones that scored were just kind of like routine. There was no spectacular PKs. Everything was
Yeah.
just and just some very disappointing ones from Japan there. And but hopefully they keep their heads up. They really did a great job. They topped their group, which was completely unexpected. In a group with Germany and Spain, like they topped it. They eliminated Germany from the entire tournament in groups, put Spain into second, which set them up for their matchup. Um, and yeah, it's just unfortunate PKs.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Rogan, you brought it up. I mean, and so did Kath. We were all kind of rooting for Japan. It was such a cool story. Obviously, the jerseys, like Kath said, they were helping cleaning up their lockers. Like they would clean up the entire locker room and leave nothing for the janitors to do, which was just such an incredible act by them. But I mean, let's be honest. If we're not even looking at the box score at the top on who won this game, even if we just look at the stats, Croatia dominated this game. 17 total shots. They had 60% of the possession time, 85% pass accuracy. I mean, they were just all over the place. If you kind of got lucky to even go to PKs versus Croatia, and then Croatia gets the win. So once again, everyone was kind of rooting for Japan, but this was Croatia's game to lose, and they just simply did not. Next game, we're going to go over Brazil won 4-1 versus South Korea, the second biggest margin of victory of the round of 16. Andrew.
Right. So I mean, Brazil versus South Korea. Brazil. I mean, I will say that I was wrong about this game. I thought obviously that Brazil was going to win, but not by this much. South Korea, just with the way that they made it into the top 16 teams or however many top 8 teams. Sorry. Is just amazing. I mean, I did not expect it. It really did. They really did come out of nowhere. I mean, South Korea was definitely rooting for them with Brazil's history in the World Cup tournaments. It was kind of like, okay, well, what happens when Brazil makes it to the semifinal? Like we all kind of know what's going to happen. But I mean, I was definitely rooting for South Korea. I'm not a huge Brazil fan myself, but with Neymar being back in the game, I mean, he was just incredible, just an amazing player. Had put so much, just gave so much, just added a lot.
Jeff?
I mean, let's not even call this a game. This is a dance party. That's what it was. I mean, Lucas Paqueta went viral. Big mosh pits with the coach that went viral. But I mean, just looking at the game, 2 goals in the first 11 minutes. Neymar got one. Vinny Jr. had one. Paqueta had one. Richarlison had one. I mean, it was just pure domination. I mean, look at the possession time. Wasn't that dominant for Brazil. But I mean, they just had more quality possession. I'll say that. They had 18 shots on goal in that 54% possession time they had. It was honestly, like I said from the beginning, I mean, we said last week South Korea was a sleeper team, but I think like going against Brazil, it's like no matter how much of a sleeper you are, you're playing Brazil. So yeah, I don't think they had much of a shot from the beginning. But it was just fun watching this game. I mean, this was like a warm-up game, if I can even say that, for Brazil.
Mr. Rogan?
Yeah, like Saket said, a solid warm up for Brazil as they head into the next round. I think, Similar to Argentina, I think Brazil had the easiest bracket going from the round of 16 all the way to the semifinals until they beat Argentina.
Yep.
Any less dominant of a win, and people would have been disappointed. The celebrations are good. The mood was high, and we'll see if they carry that momentum with them into the next round.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Brazil is definitely living up to expectations right now. I even want to throw a bit of a hot take right now. I think Richarlison, Zaketh brought up, he scored a goal in this game. I think he's looked like arguably the best striker of the entire World Cup so far. Mr. Rogan, I see that face. I mean, who else are we thinking? I think Ronaldo's a winger, so I'm not going to count him.
That's fair. No, I'd have to sit back and think. They with the way that the teams have been playing, there's been a lot of wingers leading scoring over the strikers. So I'd have to make sure that I'm not mixing anybody up when I'm refuting that.
All right, so I'll take a temporary win on my argument versus Mr. Rogan right there then. But yeah, Wilson, it just seems like whenever he takes a shot, it just looks so good every time he shoots the ball. In last game, I think Thiago Silva had a day. I mean, they only scored one goal, which is some people might even bring up as too many for Brazil to let up. Like, that's how good Thiago Silva and this defense are. But yeah, I mean, this was very expected from Brazil. I expect them to do something very similar versus Croatia. Once again, we'll get to that, but it'll probably be a very, very similar result. We'll move on to the second of two PK games of the round of 16. Morocco takes a 3-0 victory.
I don't want to hear it, Andrew. I don't want to hear it.
The Ket's tournament winner, Spain. Andrew, I'll throw it to you first.
I just have to say that I don't know if any of you guys can tell, but like, soccer is not the main sport that I watch. It is definitely not. I still love the sport. I love all sports. But let's I'm just gonna say right now, Saketh, what happened? I mean, come on.
I'll get to it. I'll get to it. Don't worry.
We saw how they were playing, and I just, thought, I was like, you know what? Morocco's gonna take the cake on this one. I never said it was gonna be a blowout, and 0-0 the entire game into the PKs. And look at what happened. Spain 0, Morocco 3. I mean, I think we could call them a Cinderella team. That's kind of a hot take, but I think we could call them a Cinderella team. I think
they're not a Cinderella team.
I think it's not impossible that they could beat Portugal. I think that they could. They could. It's possible. I'm not saying it's likely.
The team that benched Ronaldo. Okay.
The heat on Morocco is there. They made it to the top four, the top or the quarterfinal. I mean, that's pretty good for a team that's going into this. We all thought, who is Morocco? So you got to give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring it up. Like you said, the Cinderella team, call them the Loyola Chicago of the World Cup. Shout out Marcus Towns, St. Joe's alumnus. I mean, that's what they kind of look like. No one expects them to even make the round of 16, even make the World Cup, if we're being honest. And now they're heading on to the quarterfinals and into a game that some people are picking Morocco to beat Portugal in. Once again, we're going to get to that. But
some people like to play odds, so they win big money if something happens. But unless every player on Portugal falls over and breaks the leg, it's not.
I mean, they just beat a powerhouse team. Spain has always had a history.
All right. So let's push back on Spain as a powerhouse team. Spain is one of, all right, and I'll be honest. After I watched Spain absolutely pick apart Costa Rica 7-0 in the first game of the tournament, I was all in. I was on the Spain train. I was ready to order a Gavi jersey. I'm on it. They were my boys. But then as the group stage continued, we saw Spain's issue was, they play pretty football and they can pass the ball very well. And that's it. Similar to the U.S., they don't do anything with it. They just pass the ball around and
they had 77% possession and somehow did not score.
They had over 1,000 passes and one shot on goal.
See, Andrew, I was going to get to this, but this was such a Fugazi, Mickey Mouse, Ben Chadwick win. That's what this was, okay?
Okay, so I like Spain. Spain did have the potential to be a powerhouse team. Spain did not play like a powerhouse team. It was an awful, disappointing game. The penalties, watching those penalties, it was as if the Spain players watched the Japan players, felt bad for them, and were like, you know what, we'll do worse to make them feel better. Because I don't see a world in which a group of international professional soccer players take penalties that look like that. I have seen my sister's soccer team practice in my backyard from the time they were like 7 years old. And
Or
their
maybe Morocco.
and
is
their
just the
penalties
team.
Stop! Don't do it. Morocco
their
sucked the
penalties
whole
look better.
game.
Morocco, and again, I was like, I can get into this when we get it if we want to save it for the quarterfinal, really getting in on Morocco.
Yeah.
But they have not exactly played against offensive powerhouses thus far in the tournament. So good for
They are not an
Morocco. I'm
offensive
glad for them.
powerhouse.
They have a very strong soccer culture. They're one of the countries that's bidding on I believe the 2030 World Cup or 2034, whichever is up for bidding right now. They're one of the ones trying to get it. So great for them. I saw a video of the King of Morocco partying in the streets with people, which was kind of cool. With his Secret Service escort and everything. But good for them that they pulled it off. Spain, you're allowed to shoot the ball. I don't know if any of the Spanish players knew this. I don't know if we need to get Miss Benelli to translate it into Spanish to tell them that they're allowed to shoot the ball. But somebody needs to let them know the ball can't go in the net unless you kick it at the net. And I don't think that their coach told them that, because 1,000 passes, 70% possession, and one shot on goal in an entire game is the reason that Americans don't like soccer.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We might even need to get Senora on the show next week. Talk a little bit about Messi and what her thoughts are on him. You guys said Morocco played terrible. Like I don't want to say they allowed 0 goals to Spain. I think Hakimi deserves a little bit of love on the defense. I think Aguero deserves a lot of love on the defensive side of the ball. I think they played great defensively. Spain is still a good team. Morocco is not expected to be a good team, and yet they won this game in PKs. I mean, 13 shots in total. 1 was on target. That's all defense to me. That's not the goalie. The goalie didn't stand out in this game.
Yeah.
That's all defense. The 23% possession rate too. The offense did nothing. That's why they're probably going to get killed by Portugal. Once again, we'll get to that. But this defense showed out against Spain, and that's the reason why they won this game, because once you reach PKs, it's really 50-50. No team is good at PKs. It's just how lucky you are on any given day. We'll move on.
Did the defense show out, or did the Spanish team not show up? That's
It was a healthy mix. It was a healthy mix.
No, it wasn't. I think this was a Fugazi Mickey Mouse win because the Spanish just forgot how to shoot the ball. That's what it was. How many shots did they take on goal?
1, and they had 13 total.
Yeah, with 77% possession time. Are you kidding me?
So give the defense some credit. That's what I'm saying.
Nothing
Stop
is
it.
impossible.
Because
Nothing's impossible.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's blame the Spanish when the Spanish are due blame, because we do it the other way around a lot, right?
What are you saying, Andrew?
Unbelievable. Morocco.
Stop.
They have my heart.
Let them get it out.
Morocco has my heart. I love Morocco.
I'm kind of expecting an Andrew Eisenhart hot take for the World Cup in a few minutes. I'm sure we'll get to that. But something that wasn't a hot take is whether or not Portugal would beat Switzerland. They did in very, very Portugal fashion for soccer, 6-1, the largest margin of victory in the World Cup round of 16. Andrew, I mean, I don't know how much you really can talk about it, but any takeaways from this game?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they, benched Ronaldo for this game and still scored like a difference of 5 goals is pretty crazy to me. So either Switzerland is not very good at all, which I don't know if that's true, or Portugal is just very talented. Could be either one.
Yeah. It's Kev.
So I've actually gotten news that Goncalo Ramos had to hire a personal security intel because Ronaldo was actually plotting something. Because I mean, it's just like it's so funny to me that Ronaldo gets benched and his replacement scores a hat trick. I mean that was awesome. But yeah, I
Although
mean,
you are acting like Ronaldo wasn't off the bench cheering for his teammate.
oh well, yeah. I'm just saying, like
It's all show. It's all show.
all show. Yeah,
At
that's
least
what it
he's
was.
classy.
I see him. He claps all the time for Man United. So does that mean he's pro Man United? But anyways, yeah, I don't think we expected anything different. I mean, what a blowout for Portugal. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing we said with Brazil. I mean, prime warm up game. That's what it was.
Mr. Rogan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like the guy said, the story of the game was that Portugal not only put up 6 goals on Switzerland, they did it with Ronaldo sitting on the bench. Like that's, just shows the depth of talent that they have, that his replacement comes on and puts up a hat trick. It was good to see him cheering for the rest of the boys. And the crowd roar when he got subbed in was insane. Could you imagine being the person being cheered for in that moment? Like how that is nuts. You're getting subbed in the 70th minute of a game that your team's already winning by multiple goals, and the loudest roar of the night is because you're being subbed in. Like legendary. Um, Portugal's good whether or not they have Ronaldo, and if any of us are lucky, and if there is a script writer out there, we'll see a Portugal Argentina final.
Yeah, and a stat that I'm really interested in, if it even exists. I was trying to do some research before the show. I don't know if a sub has ever scored a hat trick in the World Cup. Like I'm sure it's been going on for so long. I'm sure it has to have happened. But like to come in and then score a hat trick, I mean that is unreal, especially in the round of 16. I mean Switzerland isn't the best team, but they're definitely not the worst team in the round of 16.
Switzerland's pretty solid. I think they were ranked they were ranked around the U.S. They were like 15, 16,
Yeah,
17.
Morocco's the worst team in the round of 16. But yeah.
No, Switzerland has some real guys like Jan
Unbelievable.
Sommer. Jan Sommer is a very impressive goalie. Xhaka at the midfield, Shaqiri at that striker position. Speaking of striker, I'm not going to take back my take from before. I might, but yeah, Goncalo Ramos. I mean, I didn't realize he was a striker, so I might have to rethink.
Giroud gets played at striker. That's my for France. Come on now.
I'm still going to heavily disagree. That's another story for another time. But yeah, I mean Ramos might have an argument now, even though he's coming off the bench. I don't expect him to ever come off the bench again in this World Cup. But yeah, wouldn't expect anything less. I mean, Portugal honestly overperformed what they were expected in this game, so good on them. And they have a very, very tough matchup versus Morocco on Saturday, which will be fun. Very tough matchup. That's correct, Sakath, right? Just making sure.
It's gonna be okay. Yeah, it's gonna be an absolute snoozer because Portugal is absolutely gonna blow out Morocco. They don't even have a shot. I mean, Andrew, stop getting fake upset over there.
You are
know it's
wrong.
coming. You know it's coming.
Wrong.
You know what's gonna
wrong.
happen. It's inevitable. It's like Thanos. It's like Thanos. It's inevitable. Okay, just
Right.
watch it, and don't get upset because you know what's gonna happen.
Well, you said the same thing about Spain, and look what happened. 3-0.
Like I said, it's a Fugazi win. That's what it was.
we got a couple more games before we get to Morocco.
I think whoever gave Saket the thesaurus with the word Fugazi in it needs to take it away.
I agree.
I'm saying it exactly.
Morocco has my heart. Morocco is going to make it at least to the top 4 teams. All right, they're going to beat Portugal, and like I say, it is not likely, but I think that they can do it. They did it before. They're gonna get there. They have my heart. All right. When a team has my heart, they make it.
We'll have a whole section for that when we get to the Morocco-Portugal game. But first off, let's start it off with some of the Friday games for the quarterfinals. The very first game, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, Croatia versus Brazil. I think I'm kind of expecting what the result is going to be for all our picks. But Andrew, why don't you just start it off?
I mean, honestly, watching Neymar, against South Korea, there's really not much else to say besides the fact that Brazil is just gonna beat the snot out of Croatia. I mean, Croatia is they're a solid soccer team. They have great athletes, but Brazil and the history of Brazil with their team and their depth, they're just amazing. I mean, I think that this should be a fairly notable, everybody should kind of know that this is going to happen sort of win.
Steph?
I mean, we know which game is going to be the biggest snoozer, but this one's going to be the second biggest snoozer because Brazil is absolutely going to toy with Croatia here. I mean, it's not going to be fun to watch. Well, it'll be fun to watch because the dances are amazing, but yeah, other than that, there will not be much to watch for.
Mr. Rogan?
Yeah, Brazil's gonna walk it. Neymar's 1 goal short of Pele's record goals for Brazil, so
Wow.
he's going out there wanting to make that happen, wanting to tie that up. Croatia, right? When it comes to the names, the big one is Luka Modric, but he's paired up against Casemiro on the Brazilian side, and he's going to get locked down pretty easy. You look at Croatia's games so far in the tournament, they have, a 3-1 win over Canada, who had literally never been at the World Cup before this and had never scored a World Cup goal before this. And then other than that, they've scored 1 goal in open play in 3 games, right? Versus Brazil, who just put up 6 last game. I can't see Croatia standing a chance in this one.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, Croatia, some would argue like it was kind of very unlikely that they even made this game. I know I made the argument that they played very well against Japan, but once they got to penalties, it seems like Japan just kind of broke down and like they kind of forgot how to take penalties, probably the nerves, if we're being honest. But they were this close to not even being in this game. And I think with such a close win versus a solid Japan team, it's going to be a walk in the park, like Mr. Rogan said, for Brazil. I'm expecting at least a 2-goal win for Brazil in this one. We'll move on to the 2 o'clock game that we will get to see tomorrow: Netherlands versus Argentina. Andrew?
Right. So the Netherlands versus Argentina. Like I said, Argentina, I had them going all the way up to the final. I mean, against the Netherlands, we all thought they were going to play the USA. Sadly, they're not. Um, but Argentina, I mean, with the Netherlands and how they played against the United States is nowhere near like a team like Argentina. I mean, the skill level is just completely different. Um, like the roster, I mean, the age and everything, with experience and everything, with Messi. Netherlands, they put up I think they'll put up a good fight. With the way that they play soccer, which is they score 1 goal and then defend like crazy for the rest of the game. I think that it should be not necessarily a walk in the park like the Brazil game against Croatia, but I think it should be a fairly good matchup. But I think Argentina will take the cake.
Skeff?
Yeah, this is one of the rare times where I agree with Andrew, and I think that this game will actually be much closer than we think. I mean, we look at this game, we see a big name like Argentina. Netherlands a little bit happy right now. They had that cute little win. Haha, nice one. But yeah, I really liked the way Netherlands played, to be honest. I liked how they didn't need to have insane amount of possession time to be able to go out and score. I mean, they made the most of the possessions they had. Their defense was amazing. So, I mean, I think this is one of those games that has a really good shot of going into PKs. If I'm being honest, I think maybe both teams get a score on the board, and it goes to PKs. So I'm not really sure what to expect. I think Argentina will win, but I do agree in the fact that it'll be much closer than we expect.
Mr. Rogan?
Yeah, I think tight game. If I was gonna edge it, I'd say 1-0 Argentina, but I would not be completely shocked if Netherlands manages to pull it out. They've looked good throughout the tournament. Going on to your list of strikers that are playing well this tournament, right? You've got Memphis Depay. You've got Gakpo, who's sitting on 3 goals as well this tournament. Both for the Netherlands, right? Looking really strong. I think the key point is can the Netherlands back line keep Messi in line, right? Can they keep Argentina shut down? I think Aki's looked really strong for the Netherlands. He looked great in the game against the U.S. Was an absolute animal. down the sideline. Historically, I was looking at something. These teams are, each team's won twice in the times that they've met before. So it's almost a subtle rivalry game here. The teams have met 5 times before. Each team has 2 wins, and then there's a tie. And this is number 6. That's gonna break that record. I still think Argentina pulls it out just because it's Messi's last World Cup, right? He's going to be pulling, the whole team's going to be pulling, right? He's a national hero. You've got guys on this team that grew up watching him play and wanting to be him, and now they're playing alongside him in his last World Cup. They're going to leave everything out there. So I think Argentina edges it 1-0, but it's going to be a tight one.
I couldn't agree more. And I think Argentina does just barely pull this one out because it's Messi's last World Cup. Everyone's going to be playing at the top of their level, obviously including Messi. But I think the reason why they're going to struggle so much is this. I mean, Mr. Rogan mentioned that the defensive line is going to have to step up. I think they've already stepped up and proved that they could take on a team like Argentina and their attacking unit. I think Dumfries and Blind both are incredible at the wing backs. Both of them had a goal against the U.S., as well as obviously Van Dijk is the best center back in the entire world. So I think Argentina is going to have a very tough time. And I mean, once again, Mr. Urban, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say probably 1-0, maybe 2-1, but I couldn't really see that. Honestly, could very well expect a PK for this game, but I got Argentina just barely pulling it out in this one. Move on to the Saturday games, and of course, started off with the 10 a.m. game. So, Andrew, I'm going to throw it to you first. We're going to try and remain as civil as possible. I know it's going to be difficult. Morocco versus Portugal. Go ahead.
I'm going to do my best not to get too, emotional here, but Morocco, they are my team, man. They have my heart. Ever since I predicted the win against Spain, I've just been thinking this is the yesterday. Team. This is my team. This is actually a few weeks ago. I was thinking about it when they were playing in the
okay.
Why? He was thinking about it. You just didn't tell anyone about it. That's all that happened.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Maybe because we didn't start the show until later, but I didn't.
You don't know her. She goes to another school. I swear.
Morocco. I predicted it against Spain. I was right. Usually when I'm right, I'm pretty confident about my opinion. So I'm saying when they play Portugal, everyone's going to be expecting, a 6-1 win like they did against Switzerland. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen. Morocco is going to be the team that possibly defeats Portugal. I didn't say that it was likely, but I'm saying not to rule them out. As much as I love Morocco, Portugal is still an amazing team, and the way that they performed against Switzerland was just crazy. I mean, the goal margin was insane. So, obviously, I'm not going to rule Portugal out. That would be ridiculous. However, Morocco, I love you, and I think you can do it. Go Morocco.
So just making sure the pick is Morocco here, right, Andrew?
Yes.
All right. So, Saket, I'm moving on to you.
Yeah, you said don't rule them out. Yeah, I'm ruling them out. They do not have a shot against Portugal. It's not happening. I mean,
see this? See this bottle?
I'm looking at it.
It has all the Spanish tears.
Okay, like I said, Mr. Rogan's not gonna like this, but Fugazi win. That's what it was.
That was at the 7th. Is that the 7th or the 8th? I got to keep a count.
I've lost track of the Fugazis.
It's a Fugazi win. I mean, I can't help it. I'm just okay. Okay, I'm on the thesaurus right now. Okay, imposter, copy, counterfeit, deception, fabrication, forgery, hoax, phony, scam, sham. Those are all words to describe Morocco right now. They should not be here. They should not be here. Okay, it's gotten to a point where it's enough. Where it's okay, you had your little fun, March Madness. Okay, you made it past the round of 64, past the round of 32. It's enough. You're not going anywhere. It's not happening. Portugal is going to have their way, even if Ronaldo doesn't start.
Mr. Rogan?
Portugal's gonna walk it, right? Like I know Eisenhart wants the ruling, and we can go to the ump, and they will tell you they're out. Okay. Morocco's managed to make it here because they've played against teams that are not offensive powerhouses. All right, they had such a strong group stage against the offensive likes of Croatia, who, as I said, scored one goal other than when they played against Canada. Against Canada, who prior to being in this World Cup had never scored a World Cup goal before, had been in the World Cup once before in like the 1930s or 40s or
But when
whatever
I
it
say
was.
Fugazi, I'm the bad guy,
All
huh?
right.
10. That's 10.
And
There it is.
and Belgium, who was an aging team past their prime, and even when they were good, were known for their defensive play, not for their offensive power, right? And then they played against Spain, who coming into the tournament, all the complaints from Spanish fans about their team were that they pass the ball around too much and never actually shoot. And just waste time. So Morocco's literally not played against a single team this World Cup that's known for scoring goals, that's known for offensive firepower. And now you're going into the team that benched Ronaldo, one of the best offensive players in the world and in the history of soccer, and they benched him, and then they still proceeded to win by 5 goals. All right, if that doesn't define an offensive powerhouse, what does? I don't think Morocco's been tested before now. I think this is going to be the real breakdown, and I think you're going to see Portugal 3-0. They won't put up 6 again,
Oof.
but
Yeah, I'm with Mr. Rogan.
What was
here.
the oof for? It's like inevitable. I said this already.
Oh, I'm just we got a guy picking Morocco, so saying 3-0 for the other team. It's a lot in soccer. That's all I'm saying.
Go Morocco.
Yeah, Andrew, I wish I could be with you and make it a 2-2 tie between us all, but I mean Portugal's winning this game. I don't know what you're thinking picking Morocco. I'm not gonna lie. I love the support for them and the passion, but you're completely out of your mind with this one. I brought it up like
Fraudulent. That's what it was. Benjamin Chadwick and Mickey Mouse win.
I mean, you just have to throw me in there with those words. That's fine. We'll go. Yeah, I mean, Ramos had a great game. Obviously, I'm not expecting another hat trick. What I am expecting is for a very pissed off Ronaldo to have an incredible game in his next game. He just got benched, and the guy he got benched for had one of the greatest performances we've seen in the past 4, 5, 6 World Cups. And now Ronaldo, everyone's saying like, oh, should he even be starting? No one's saying that, but like it could be in his mind. But now he's going to be not so happy. He's coming out playing with a mean look on his face, and I'm expecting 2 goals from Ronaldo. So I'm going to say 3-1. Portugal takes this one against Morocco. So Andrew, once again, very sorry for that, but it's so clear. It's 3-1 Portugal. It's 3-1 in our little box we got here for Portugal. So Portugal is my pick for this one. We'll move on to the final game Saturday at 2:00, the last qualifying or quarterfinal game, England versus France. Some would argue the best game of the quarterfinal round. Andrew, what do you have in this one?
Right. So, I mean, England, I hate England. Like, I don't even have a valid reason for it. I just hate England. So,
all right.
I just don't like them. And France is just, they're good. So, it should be a good win for France. Should be very rewarding. I know I'll be watching that game just because of my dislike for England.
Very straight to the point. I appreciate that. So, Kath?
So Ben, you know about my vast network and immense amount of connections. I've actually been in contact with the King of Qatar, and I've actually been told that right now, currently, at Al Bayt Stadium, there's like an increased amount of police presence because they've been receiving threats that Mbappe is going to absolutely murder England. And that's exactly what's going to happen, okay? Kylian is going to have his absolute way with England. Not even going to be close. I mean, I think France is just going to steamroll through England. I mean, yeah, you guys have Harry Kane. Nice job. Not doing much. England's going to get absolutely walked over.
Mr. Rogan?
I'm going to be the contrarian here, mainly because I think I hate France the way that Andrew hates England. You know, I can't deny Mbappe's talent. He's great.
I like all people.
The issue with this game, this is a game of two offensive powerhouses, which I think is what's going to make it the most exciting game for people to watch. England has, but you have like a difference in how they're scoring goals, right? On the French side, Mbappe's got 5 goals, Giroud's got 3 goals. That's it, right? They have these 2 superstars that are dominating and taking them to wins. On the English side, you have 8 goal scorers. Them and Portugal have the most goal scorers of the people left in the tournament, right? Each of them have 8 players that have scored in this World Cup. And I think we're going to see that having that spread of goal scoring gives you more options, gives you more opportunity. I think we're going to see a 3-2 win for England. Harry Kane's 1 goal behind Wayne Rooney's record for England. So similar to Neymar with Pele, you've got somebody chasing. You've got somebody chasing a national hero for a record. I think Kane scores. I think England wins 3-2. And I'm on it. God save the Queen, but now it's the King. But R.I.P. Lizzie.
There we go. Had to get it in there. So Kath, I mean, you're saying France is going to walk over England.
Yeah, it's happening.
I don't think any such thing will happen. I'm down the fence right now with who to even pick. These are 2 very hateable teams.
Stop! No, it's a very clear pick. I think Mr. Rogan is just going to be
different. 2
different.
very dislikable teams. These are 2 very good teams.
I don't think the English team's dislikable. Have you seen Jack Grealish? He's like a puppy dog. Like, he's such a sweetheart. Come on now.
I'm saying dislikable just because of what they did to us and didn't let us win that game. So that's the only reason I'm saying that.
We drew against England. They didn't really do anything to us.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I picked France to be in the championship versus Argentina, so I feel like I have to pick France in this one. I'll go with the same score Mr. Rogan went with, 3-2, but instead this time it'll be France's way. But once again, I would not be shocked if England wins this one. I'm saying France wins in PKs or by a goal. If anything more happens than that, I'll be shocked. I mean, this is going to be such a great game. I cannot wait for Saturday afternoon. But other than that, I think that's going to do it for episode 2 of Joe's Knows the World Cup, the quarterfinal preview. You got a round of 16 review. You got our takes on the USA team. Very heartbroken, a very bright future. But that's going to do it, guys.
Hopeful.
Very, very
it's happening. Finals 2026.
Yep. Hey, we're all expecting it. Hey, we gotta. I think the 4 of us have to go to it if we make the finals in 2026.
Go Croatia, baby! Wow, I just messed that up.
Wow. Eisenhart doesn't know who he's rooting for. Good job, kid.
Go Morocco, baby!
There we go. I cannot believe you just mixed them up. But yeah, that's gonna do it, guys. For Andrew Eisenhart, Cheth Kodori, a very special guest, Mr. Rogan. Once again, clap it up for Mr. Rogan. But I've been your host. Thanks for watching.